So, as previously displayed, we've got settings working with other various sliders and things, and I've set up a resolution drop down in here, which has also detected that I'm actually running the game on 1920 by 1080. It's also detected my monitor's refresh rate, and it's also detected all of the other possible resolutions that we can use with my current monitor. Now, if I go back from here, the one thing that I have to fix is the aforementioned screen sliding, because at the moment it is set to use settings from 1920 by 1080. So if I change it to 4K and then I go back to settings, slides down a bit too far. So we need to I need to find some way of utilizing the screen width and screen height, as opposed to just the setting in the setting for 1920 by 1080. Okay, so today I have commented a bunch of code, and I've also been messing around with the audio mixer stuff. So we now have sound in game. So I've put in a placeholder sound for the wheel swiping. If we go across to here, it's the audio. You can see we now have a working volume slider, a working SFX volume slider. So if I go back here and significantly quieter. If I just get back to the settings, and we now have a master volume slider as well. So you can see there the master is completely off, and despite the fact that the sounds are playing still, they don't come through. So we have basically, well, I don't want to say full audio control, but quite a great deal of audio control now. And I think the next thing to do is probably to implement the save system, honestly, or some kind of save system, because we've got some, we've already got some settings that we can save here and here. So once I get those saving, then I guess we move on to actual gameplay, or at least some systems of it. Right. Firstly, I apologize for any background noise. My washing machine is going fucking ham at the moment. So the first thing that I created today, or I've been sort of like going back and forth between these classes, but the first thing that was necessary to create was a manager, essentially. So we have a data persistence manager, which, as you can see here, manages the saving and loading of all of the data within the application. It essentially does this by creating persistence objects, or rather gathering persistence objects, which are essentially any class that can save data. Now there's two kinds of persistence objects. We've got the game one, which saves anything pertaining to the game, and we've got a settings one, which saves anything pertaining to the settings. Just so that we've got them sort of separated, which is mainly due to the fact that we want the game to be saved as and when the player does it, or on autosave. I've also set it up to save automatically when the player quits. And the settings, we want to save basically anytime there is a change to the settings. That particular setting will have its save function called. So I'll take you through this. So we've got setting up, new game, creation of new settings data, loading the game, loading the settings, saving the game, saving the settings, and then, as I've said, the saving of the game on the application quit. And then this is just responsible for gathering all of those persistence objects, as I stated before, for each individual type. Now in the settings data, I've got to do a bit more with this, so that we can actually, save these individual things. But we've got all the settings that we currently have in here, as well as some placeholders for the menus that don't have anything. As for the game data, we've got a save slot and a file name, and then we've got the unlocked achievements. And then we've got these. So these are interfaces which essentially like state. So these are the persistence objects. So a class will inherit from these, which essentially means that it gains all the functionality of these. But the good thing about an interface is that any class that has this has to have these functions. So they have to be able to load or save data, with some exceptions, but we'll come back to that. So same for this with just the settings, data persistence. Now this is the real sort of bread and butter of the systems. So this is what's going to write our data files and read and write our data files with the ability to encrypt and decrypt the saved data. There's a bunch of variables here which you don't really need to know about other than the use encryption. Obviously. This is a serializable dictionary, which is, I had to make this because some data types can't be serialized into a JSON file, so you've got to make a way for it to actually do so. And then we've got some sort of data validation in here to make sure that the files can be read and give us an error if it can't be read, so that we know that something's wrong with it. And then I'll go to achievement next. So I made some code for an achievement. This needs to be fleshed out a little bit, obviously, because we're gonna have I would imagine we'd have an image associated with it, and then some description or something like that. But for now, it's just the ID, which is uniquely generated to make sure that it is essentially that achievement which is being picked up from the load data, or written to the save data rather. Then we've got our setting is unlocked. Load game data, save game data, basically just same difference with this. And then in our achievements manager, this is one of the exceptions to that rule with these persistent objects. So I've put in a little achievement progress thing, so that it essentially states to the player what percentage of achievements they've unlocked, and we can just write that to the achievements menu. And then we've got the load game data, which essentially takes in all of the achievements from that and states whether they're achieved, and then adds them to a counter. Then that goes on and calculates the percentage and outputs the percentage of them unlocked. And the achievements manager actually doesn't need to save anything because the achievements handle saving themselves, which is, it's basically multiple ways to skin a cat at that point. So yeah, that's what I've been doing today. Okay, so you can see that this folder is completely empty, and this is where the save files usually go. If we go back onto here, got a wee error down there. We'll fix that at some point, but it's not particularly important at the moment. So if I go to achievements, nothing's unlocked. If I go to settings, click save settings, that's that saved. So we go back to achievements, we've unlocked settings saved, and if I stop playing and play again, we've got settings loaded, unlocked as well. So we now have achievements fully working in terms of saving and loading, thankfully, which is really nice. Okay, so current progress for the visual novel scene is I've got all of this set up. I've got the individual layers set up. So we have our root, our managers. We have a testing, little testing bit for testing scripts. We have our individual images. I've put the character in there. That's just the background image there, just to make sure that everything was lining up. We've got the root container, the dialogue, so our name, dialogue text, and the controls. And then in the dialogue system manager, I've coded. I'm in the process of coding the dialogue system essentially. So we have the system manager, the text architect, which does most of the heavy lifting in terms of actually building the text. We have a dialogue container, and then we have a testing script that I'm running at the moment, just to check that everything is working. So it has 3 different strings in it, which will be like 3 different lines. And then when I press space, it changes the text to a random one of those. So if I go into here, press play. Once it loads, you can see it changes to a random one of them every time, like so. Sorry about the overlay, by the way. I'm just using a I couldn't actually find the dialogue overlay, so I've just sort of mishmashed my own together just for now as a placeholder. But we will need placeholder, or rather, I'll need that, and I'll need some actual backgrounds to test with as well at some point. But just so we can make sure that the aesthetic is completely correct and all of that. But yeah, that's currently where I'm at. Okay, so I've put in a new background, and I've just as a placeholder for the moment, and I've got typewriter mode working. So if I press space once, you can see that it's typing in. If I press space twice, it'll go faster. And then if I press space 3 times, it'll just complete the line. Like so. Now I'm trying to think of other ways in which we can set text just for characterization and all of that, but I think that's that'll probably come later on.